Alan! 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 Alan!
So basically for Usual Suspects, we just give a rundown of basic DJ questions, figure out what it takes to be a DJ. What is the stupidest question you've ever heard?
Will you play me some Justin Bieber?
Justin Bieber. Have you ever played Justin Bieber?
No.
No. Sorry, Bieber.
Sorry, Bieber.
Okay, so obviously it takes more than just having a really awesome record collection or a really awesome digital music collection. So maybe you can go into a little bit of how you got started as a DJ and where you started with your music collection. Did the music collection start first, or did you want to DJ and then start building off the collection?
Well, my parents were hippies, so I was raised on vinyl records, classic rock, music, period. You know, music was a big part of our family. And then one of my friends was a DJ when I was about 19, and that was back when you had, he had 3 400-disc CD changers, and you had he had all these books, and it was book after book after book after book. Hey, pick a song out of one of the books, and half the times the CDs were scratched, or they were missing, they were in the wrong order, and after seeing that for a while, I knew that computers, a laptop was going to be the future.
Right. So you didn't really start on with like 2 records, with like 2 turntables that way?
That came recently here in the last 2 or 3 years. I basically did like weddings, birthday parties, any kind of event. And there's a local DJ college here in Indianapolis that I went to that was kind of a game changer for me.
Okay.
It's ran by 2 or 3 of the best DJs in the city, and you can sign up, take classes from them, and like basically what I was a MC, get on the microphone, talk a bunch of junk, and then play really good music. To whereas after I went to the DJ school, now I'm using 2 turntables, mixing, blending, scratching, all the things that a club level DJ would do. So I'm no longer just the wedding DJ.
Right.
I'm actually, some of the girls I used to work with at the bar where the girls dress as schoolgirls. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
I
may have donned that uniform for a day or 2.
Yeah. They've came in here recently, as a matter of fact, where we are right now filming this.
Yeah, I think Craig said something about you're going to start doing, what is it, Thursdays here or Fridays?
Every 3rd Saturday here at the
Third
Yard
Saturday,
Line.
okay.
So it's kind of funny that you were like, hey, let's do the podcast. It's at Yard Line. I was like, that's awesome. I love Craig and the Yard Line.
It's a good place.
But they had came in here a few weeks ago, and a couple of them were like, wow, like you're like a lot better than you used to be. And I'm like, well, thanks. And, like apparently I used to suck, and now she's like, that's not what I meant. She's like, you used to just play everybody's requests, but now you're like that next level. And I was like, well, that's awesome.
You totally
like,
went to her accent. I know exactly who you're talking about, just
like,
from the accent alone.
Like I know, like that makes me feel good that she saw me before and sees me now after the DJ school and can see that I've gotten a lot better, which makes me feel pretty good that I've stepped up my game.
Okay, so as far as like the music, now obviously I suppose you can just illegally download a bunch of music and then use it, but tell me, what are the licensing rules as far as using music in your sets and in the music you create?
If I can't, basically I have a music service that I sign up to. It's like $30 a month, and you can download as much as you want. And it's basically like a record pool sharing. So get on there and download, as many songs as I can. And then when I go out to my next gig and somebody's like, hey, do you get this, do you get that? I might not even know that I have it. I just search for it real quick, and there it is. I'm like, yeah, sure, I got that. Here you go. And,
right.
It's also a good way to stay up on current events. Like basically I'll search iTunes Top 100 and ignore all the country, ignore all the Justin Bieber type stuff, and take that list and then go into my record pool and see, okay, I could get that one, that one, that one, and that one. So as many of them as I can get under the $30 a month, load up with that, and then go from there.
Okay, now when they go through that pay subscription where you pay $30 a month, are the artists getting a piece of that?
Or is it sort of, I don't really know how it works, to tell you the truth.
You just know it's legal and legit?
Yeah,
you're in the clear.
It's currently legal, so.
Well, hopefully the artists are getting paid something for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, they should be. I'm not really sure how it works. That's a good question.
We'll look into that for the next one.
There you go. You can bring in one of the guys from there to do a podcast with them.
Have you ever mixed with actual vinyl records? And
I
what
have.
can you explain, like the difficulties and the technicalities between actually using two turntables and using two vinyl records?
Because I run Serato, which is vinyl records, and it controls all your music that's digital. So you're using vinyl records,
but it's
you're
digital.
just not changing them out
Okay.
every single time. When I was in the DJ school, I went in one day and he was like, okay, we're going to mix on vinyl today. And I was like, just like actual vinyl records. And basically the old school DJs, you had to go through every single record and tag it and say, okay, this record's 86 beats per minute. This record's 96.
That's what I was going to
100.
ask you, like how do you match the beats up?
So you have to have that. So when you're not using the digital aspect and you're just using two vinyl records, it's all about your ear. And you got to listen. You have to listen. And basically the simplest thing that I learned the very first day of the DJ school, I was never in band or anything like that. So the 8 count, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, and that's everything. Like everything music is 8 counts at a time, whether it's 16 or 32, you know, sometimes 64, but not really.
Yeah.
Basically, except for some like crazy reggae dance hall type stuff and classical music, everything is in that same time.
Okay.
So then it's just a matter of listening to it and kind of every DJ has their own method. Like you basically have to make yourself keep the beat. So some DJs bob their head, some DJs tap their feet, maybe pat their hand on themselves somewhere. I personally like to borrow from one of the teachers at the school, Cool Hand Lex, and he kind of does a thing where you're more like, where you just kind of like feel it, you know, you're like, you feel it, you feel it. So, you know, like your whole body becomes the beat counter.
Okay. So when you have the two turntables, is it like the old school where it just has like 45 and what was it, 90? Like 90 and 45 switch?
33 and 45.
And so do you have like a dial that you actually switch to match up the beats? Or turn to match up the beats? Or?
That doesn't really come into play as much as you have a pitch control at the top of the turntable that goes from like -8 to +8. So if this beat on the left deck is 100 and the beat on the right deck is 105, you have multiple options. You can either slow down the 105 and speed up the 100 to meet right in the middle at 100.
How do you slow them down and speed them up? You actually do that with your finger?
The first thing you would do is you want to get them it's basically called setting yourself up for success. So you would try to get it as close as possible before you even drop it. So your 100 beats per minute track is spinning over here. You're in your headphone. You can hear it. You cue it up, and you drop it in a couple times in your headphones as close as you possibly can get it. If you nail it perfectly, that's great. If not, you don't really want to go live and fade over and have it train wrecking, because you've heard
so in
that
that
sometimes.
situation, you would just wait for another 4 beats or 8 beats.
You would
and then
pull it back. You would pull it back
in?
and because you always want to start on the 1. So this beat's over here going 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1.
Okay.
And you drop this.
So you just go to the next measure then.
Right. You drop this record, and you know, it's all about the breaks, getting in and out of the breaks. You don't want to halfway through this verse bring in the beat from the other song, because then it's just this verse ends and there's still 8 bars before this song starts.
Exactly.
What you want is to get out of this break the very last word that he says over here, and then you're over here on your other side of your record.
Is that kind of where scratching came in, you think, where people were trying to like match up the time, like while they were actually live?
I mean, the very first scratch that was ever invented was the baby scratch, and that was just where the record is live and you're just kind of scratching on it, and that's all you're doing. Like that was the.
Do you think that sort of came from beatboxing? Because it seems like to me that was sort of like around the same time.
Possibly. I mean.
Or maybe that's where beatboxing came from, vice versa.
They definitely, that whole culture of hip hop music, beatboxing, breakdancing, definitely all kind of came together at the same time. I would personally believe.
Yeah. So it's a matter of opinion. I'm sure people are screaming right now in front of Google, "You got it fucking wrong."
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Sure.
We don't have a Google check right now. When we film on Wednesdays and Saturdays, we have Google checks. So.
I mean, you already figure there's going to be a couple racist comments, and then a couple of
always
terrorism comments, and then you know, a couple people calling us gay.
Do terrorists scratch records?
I don't know.
I know in Ibiza, DJing is huge over there. So I wonder if
I don't know. I mean,
you see those crazy videos of them online where they're like drifting cars and like doing all this like American stuff?
Probably the funniest video I've seen that's close to that is a DJ mixing, and there's no wires connected to his equipment at all. It's a video that quite a few of the DJs here in town have passed around. There's a page ran by one of the most famous indie DJs, Top Speed, called the Animal Crackers. That's on Facebook, and they're always posting stuff like that, just random things. And they posted a video, and this guy, he's all, and the music's playing, but then you can see the backside of his mixer and his turntable.
So he's not actually making the music.
And they're not plugged in at all. And because that's a big debate too right now, is like the EDM DJ, where they're basically just like, oh, whoa, like turning a knob up and down and jumping up and down, and they're not
I've seen
really.
some stuff where they were saying like even some of the like top, what was that DJ that overdosed on heroin?
Steve Aoki. Well, I don't know about him.
DJ wasn't Slater. He got in that plane crash first with the drummer from Blink 182, Travis. He might be from Blink 182.
I can't even think of his name.
He was married to that girl from Baywatch, man. They had their own show on MTV for a while. Just covered in tattoos.
It's been a while since I paid attention to MTV.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name, but that was one of the things they were saying about him, was that he actually had just like recorded songs, and then when he actually went to parties, I wasn't actually DJing. He was just
they're
playing his
pressing
track.
play. They're pressing play and then miming, turning knobs and buttons and shit. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, so that actually does happen.
It does happen, yeah.
Wow.
And some of them make a lot of money doing it, which is really bad.
So how do they get to that point where they're making enough money that they can just fake it like that?
I don't know.
It's one of those things where they know the right people with money, or
that's another thing that the DJ community passes around is everybody's a DJ until you put a set of turntables in front of them.
right?
And then they're like, oh, well, my hand hurts. I gotta go. Like, you know, like the whole CDJ thing, or you're using a controller and you're just pushing a button to syncing it, you know, and it's like there's so much more that goes into that. And the casual person who sees a really good DJ who's mixing and blending, and they don't think that he's really doing anything. Oh, you're just, you know, playing songs. No, there's a lot more that goes into it than, you know, people would think. But it's because of those ass clowns, as I like to call them, that
rightfully so.
Yeah, that people think, oh, you're just back there pressing play, and it's like, man, there's so much. You're adjusting your pitch, you're adjusting the timing, you're counting the beats in your head, you're getting ready, you're thinking about the next song. It's kind of like playing chess. You're trying to think 2 or 3 moves ahead to get yourself set up, because if you do this perfect mix and you don't have anything to follow it up with, then it's kind of pointless.
Right.
Like, hey, that one mix you did was great, and then the rest of your
You just sort of fell on your face for the rest of the hour.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't want to do that.